Andrea Brown, Head of Channel and Partnerships at OpenSpace, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hey, Andrea. I'm Michael. I work on the strategy team here at OpenSpace, and so I work with the team to explore new verticals and new industries or sectors where OpenSpace can add value. So specifically, I've been working and focusing on the insurance industry for about the past 15 months and learning how OpenSpace can be valuable for not only companies in the insurance sector, but our customers who are purchasing insurance as well.
Fantastic. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So I'd love you just to share a little bit. I know you're passionate about that and have got some great research and anecdotal evidence about how we fit well with that sector. Tell us more.
Yeah, well, what's really interesting is we're not an insurance company. We make software, and I am biased, and I'd like to think we make really good software that adds value to our customers. But this wasn't some stroke of genius where we thought, oh, we could move into the insurance sector. Our customers were the ones who actually gave us the tip that this could be a very valuable application for OpenSpace. We have this really great case study of a general contractor in the United States, Provident General Contractors. You can actually go find and read the case study on our website. But there was a fireworks incident where some fireworks exploded on an adjacent building of an active construction project. There was fire damage to the project, and Provident was capturing daily using OpenSpace to the fullest. And so they took the captures before the fire and after the fire, sent those captures to their insurance adjuster, and the insurance claim was processed in 2 days. And interestingly, they had a project that was going on in another state in the United States where they had a similar type of insurance claim on a job, but they were not using OpenSpace. And it took 4 months to process that claim. So it was kind of like an aha moment of, by using OpenSpace, our customers are able to get better insurance outcomes, reducing time of processing claims and ultimately saving money. I like to tell people that insurance claims are not like wine. They get worse with age. So the longer that those remain outstanding, the worse it is for both our customers, insurance companies, and really anyone on the job. I'm preaching to the choir. Anyone in construction does not like delays. So being able to process those claims faster can lead to a much better outcome for everyone on the job.
So I love that. I think there's a couple of things I want to unpack in there, because I think from an insurance perspective, right, there's a couple of different stages in terms of what they do where OpenSpace can step in. So if we sort of break those down, the way that I think of it is right from the get-go, right? If we look at the way that a project is built, so you've built something and you need that to be insured. So let's just talk about that. What happens right at the beginning?
Well, there's a really good use case outside of the United States and in most international markets. There's an insurance policy that is called it's an IDI policy, inherent defect insurance policy. And in order to get IDI insurance, there is what is called a tenant inspection service, I believe, or technical inspection service. I believe that's the case. It's TIS, which is an acronym. I believe it's Technical Inspection Services. Someone out there can correct me if I'm wrong. But what you need to do is you have to have a licensed inspector inspecting the job site throughout all of the construction phase for potential defects. Because what inherent defect insurance does is it insures the job post-completion for any types of defects. But in order to do that, you have to have someone inspecting the job from the very beginning all the way throughout. So before the job even starts, if you're going to have inherent defect insurance, you have to make sure and get this aligned. And something like OpenSpace can give an inspector really valuable data set and a single source of truth to be able to monitor the project from the very get-go. And you think of design aspects where a design team is making sure that the construction team is building the job to spec or to design. And so in order to have insurance policies that are covering design aspects, you have to have coordination before the job even starts. So what's really interesting about using OpenSpace for insurance applications is all that insurance really is a transfer of risk from one party to another. And there's so many risks that take place on a construction project, whether that's in the pre-construction phase, in construction, or post-completion. There's risks all throughout. And so therefore there's insurance policies that are trying to reduce those risks all the way throughout. And OpenSpace can be a really valuable tool to help manage and mitigate those risks regardless of the phase of the project.
Fantastic. So we've now built our project, we've got our insurance in place, and oh no, disaster has occurred. And as you pointed out, the other use case that you pointed out was fantastic in showing that we could capture in that really visual way what the property looks like before, also capture the damage, right? Like really sort of show that. But so now we're at the stage where our insurance claim has been approved. What comes next? Because I think that there's a further use case for OpenSpace after the fact.
So once your claim is approved, you have to be able to start construction, and you're having to repair whatever damages occurred, and you've gotten the approval, you've gotten the funding. So in order to, you're almost moving back in a phase of construction from maybe a portion was completed and now you're starting over. So you almost have a nesting doll construction project within one, that it's important to be able to capture every phase of construction to make sure that you're actually completing the construction, you're completing the work as the claim asked you to do so. There's claims for specific things. And so you don't want a situation where an insurance carrier or someone is claiming that you're not using the funds correctly. So it's a really great way to document, to prove to anyone that may ask in the future, to make sure that you are completing the work as the claim, or spending those claim dollars as they were intended to do so.
Exactly. And we hadn't rehearsed that. So I'm so glad that we were aligned in our thinking there.
Yeah.
So I think, just sort of to summarize, there's a couple of stakeholders really involved in this, aren't there? So you've mentioned the insurance company themselves. I'm also thinking loss adjusters, right? Loss adjusters are almost like a whole little sector on their own. Anybody else that you can think of, Michael, that sort of comes into mix in terms of stakeholders?
The best part about the insurance vertical is all of the stakeholders are aligned in their incentives, where it's not a zero-sum game where one person wins and one person loses. Typically, when there's a major claim or a massive loss, the entire vertical or all the stakeholders lose in some way. When you can avoid losses, everyone in that vertical wins in some way. And so if you think about it from the top to the bottom, you have the insurance company that's actually carrying the risk, but you also have the insurance brokers that have the relationships with their clients to be able to make sure they have the correct insurance policies. And so they're kind of the intermediary between the end user of OpenSpace, or the builders or contractors, and the insurance company. And what's really great about OpenSpace's application for insurance brokers is our clients are already investing in technology, which, as we talked about with a couple of the use cases, we know is reducing risk on projects. So this is a really good asset for brokers when they go to market and they try and place insurance policies on behalf of the insured, to go to those insurance companies and say, listen, our customer is investing a lot of money in technology that is reducing the likelihood of losses for you. So they should be incentivized for that. That's a really great way for a broker to strengthen their relationship with the insured, to go to bat for them and get them better coverage, better policies, and almost reward them for their investment in OpenSpace. Additionally, you have loss adjusters and risk engineers typically at every single level, whether that's a carrier, whether that's a broker, whether it's the insured. You have in-house loss adjusters or risk engineers that are trying to actively mitigate the likelihood of a risk and create a safer environment. Typically, what has to be done is they have to fly out to the project, walk around, take a picture, point and shoot, go back and make notes and try and communicate potential risks out to the field team. This can be a really lengthy and expensive process, but if someone's capturing using OpenSpace on the job site every day, the loss adjusters and risk engineers for really anyone, whether it's the carrier, whether it's the broker or the insured, they all have a complete view of the project to be able to much more actively, easily, and quickly identify risks and then communicate those back out to the field. It's only half of the work is identifying the risk, but if there is a risk, you want that to be addressed and then mitigated and corrected, and then following up to make sure that's done. OpenSpace can accelerate that process and make the communication from a risk team to the field team much easier and simpler, ensuring a safer outcome for really everyone involved.
Perfect. And the ROI on this must be amazing, right? From everybody involved, right? It must be really impressive.
Yeah, I have a somewhat cheeky question I like to ask people, which is rhetorical. When I'm kind of going through a general OpenSpace pitch, I'll ask, have you ever had a delay or a loss on a job? It's rhetorical because if you've been in the industry more than a day, then you've probably had a delay or a loss on the job. So those losses, and whether it's liquidated damages, delays, or the cost of rework, can be tens of millions of dollars on massive projects. Avoiding one of those claims, avoiding one of those losses, or example of reducing a claim processing time from 3 months to 3 days, that alone can pay for OpenSpace and any other technology that you may be using on the job. And so having that single source of truth where you can address these claims and mitigate losses can pay for OpenSpace 10 times over, 100 times over, 1,000 times over. And so it's one of those situations where you almost can't afford not to have a tool like OpenSpace on the job, because in the event of, let's say, a fireworks explosion that leads to significant fire damage, if you don't have the full, complete capture and time-stamped imagery of a job site, how are you going to be able to prove what the cause was and what the states before and after the loss occurred? And really, the goal here is to avoid losses altogether. That's a lofty goal to get to have a completely safe and perfect job site. More than likely, there will be some type of loss or claim. In those events, you want to make sure and reduce the likelihood of those claims being worse than they could be or more costly than they could be, because everyone loses in that situation.
Michael, you're such a wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much for sharing this today.
Yeah, thanks so much.